Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly Roc Open Mic. We do this call because MSPs requested us to do this. You wanted to hear what we were working on in the platform, what's new, what bugs have we fixed, and to help you folks do a little R&D from your peers or rob and duplicate their automation ideas. With that, just a couple reminders. If you're making automations, just remember the best automations are the easiest ones to forget. So please add time savings so that your leaders will remember the automations that you built. Also, Discord. That's how we provide support and community help. If we're working with you, make sure you respond either tagging the person you're working with or in a thread, because we're all monitoring a ton of Discord channels at the same time, and that helps to alert us. Also, something a little new, the best MSPs that automate the best use Discord. They don't necessarily always have to pop in the coop and interact with the community, but at least they use their own personal channel and they ask questions when they get stuck instead of staying stuck. So if you're not using your Discord, at least your private one, you're really, really missing out on your ability to crush it in automation. With that, let's party. Hey, Ash, what do you got going on?
Hey, everyone. All right. I wanted to put that on a shirt. The best automators that automate use Discord here in 2024. We are going to jump right over to Dev. We got a few education demos to jump into, and then we've got a couple people that have some sporadic things to show. So it'll be a bit of a hodgepodge collection of fun stuff, which will be cool to see. So let's jump right over to Nick.
Awesome. Thanks, Ash. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on our weekly Roc call. It's going to be a fun one today. And I'll start by sharing some updates from the dev and product teams. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Oh no, what's this? Oh no. Some new features this week. We got Adigy integration shipped out and released to all of you. Everybody can now go in the integration section and add Adigy if you're an Adigy user and have been waiting to build automations with Adigy integration. That's available now. We've got some fixes and chores this week. We fixed a problem where an unclosed database connection was causing some transaction errors. We also added support for HTTP methods in addition to GET method for the CSP generic action. Fixed an integration configuration page for custom integrations v2 so that only shows the relevant fields now. That was one of the things that we were waiting on before we go general availability for custom integrations v2. We updated SonicWall integration to support different API keys for integration multi-tenancy. So if you have multiple SonicWall accounts or have multiple API keys, you can now use those in Rewst. We fixed ConnectWise automate dynamic options in forms. For some endpoints, those weren't pulling the options back, and they are working now. We made a small UI change. We swapped the refresh options and the suggest values buttons in the org mapping section of the integration configuration page. We did some database work. We partitioned our workflow execution context table in the database. So the context object that you're all familiar with, CTX dot, where you store your variables, that can get quite large, as some of you know, if you're pulling back hundreds or thousands of items and then casting those to a variable in the context. We were previously storing all of those in a table that gets associated back to the workflow execution. And as you can imagine, that table grows quite large over time in the order of terabytes. So what we've done is we use Postgres partitioning feature to partition that table by date. So now it's partitioned, there's a partition created for every week. And that allows us to easily vacuum, prune, and drop partitions that are no longer needed. And we were able to reclaim about 19 terabytes of space in our database by doing this. So there's obviously some performance implications there, not ultra noticeable, but that did help some performance issues a little bit too. We increased the frequency for Microsoft auth token refreshes. We fixed a bug where users were unable to change an integration name or description on the integration config page. Some things that are currently in the works. Granular forms permissions still in QA review. We've got a bunch of integrations that have moved to QA review. Synix, Australia Cove, and GitHub have moved on from development, and they're now being reviewed by our QA team. Dashboard, which I leaked just a few seconds ago, is really ultra close. We've got our, we had to do some extra work. We discovered that in production with large data sets, our queries to pull and aggregate statistics were way too slow. So what we've done is we've gone and created a table to pre-compute those values every day for users, so that when the page loads, it just reads the values that are already computed out of a different table. I think there's maybe one or two other pull requests or small enhancements for the dashboard, and I expect that to be coming out very soon, maybe even next week. Additionally, we've moved back over to making some fixes to the org picker, and I think we've got a couple of pull requests open for that too. That's also super close. Multiplayer workflows v1 that Jordan showed off last week. There's pull requests open for that, and that's in code review. And we also have a Bitdefender integration that's currently in development. Does anybody have any questions about any of these items or any of the work we've done?
Just a quick one. The GitHub integration,
Yes.
Is that the REST API or the GraphQL API?
I believe it's the REST API.
Okay, yeah, that's Daniel already thought so. Yeah, it would be cool to really have the GraphQL API supported there too, because so much is now behind that one instead of the REST API, and the entire sponsors thing is behind that too. So it would be cool if we could access that somehow.
Okay.
Is sponsors
yeah.
the big one? Sorry, out of curiosity, or are there other ones too?
There's actually like a couple of them. Workflow status is behind the GraphQL API, no longer in the REST API. So checking if a workflow is actually run and like getting their logs and that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of them. I think John on our side also has some ideas about what we need from there.
I'm not sure if we have like good abstractions to support GraphQL APIs yet, but I know we recently created support for what's the other type, RPC type endpoints, which GraphQL is really similar to. So I think at the very least in the short term, we could probably provide like some kind of generic interface for those GraphQL queries.
Cool.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right, thanks so much. Back to you, Ash.
Nick. All right, we're going to jump over to Daniel with an A. How do you say those differently phonetically? I don't think you can. To do the marketplace update.
Wonderful. It's a big day in Rewst history. We have two Daniels with an A. Okay, so we've been mad at work this week. Thank you to Dan Hayes, JP, Adam, 3G, Matt. We have one new crate that I'm going to gloss over. I added this to the list, and then I was notified that we have a couple of updates that we need to do to it. It's mostly around the description and just being more, I think the naming and description just might be a bit misleading on what exactly it does, but we're going to go through this next week in a bit more detail to talk about what exactly this does and why you should install it. But it's, yeah, reporting on disabled users with who have a license. The majority of our work this week has been spent on things that are currently still in progress and making bug fixes. So we have a ton of items that we've been looking at. Again, I'll just mention that what we're doing as of late is looking at some of our most executed crates, finding out which ones are failing at a high rate, and then going in and fixing those bugs. A lot of the failures that we're finding are due to just like improper error handling. So we've made a concerted effort to change a lot of those. We have some handling of failed PowerShell for the EmiBot PowerShell execution workflow. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything that I'm really going to jump into and go into detail on, but yeah, a lot of bug fixing this week. I'll also mention that the things that we have coming soon are SonicWall firmware update crate, M365 email compromise response, and the big one that is hopefully coming up and will be released, we're hoping this sprint in the next week, is workstation offboarding. And we briefly discussed that last week, but yeah, that's it from the marketplace team.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Okay, so now we are going to jump over to Brandon for our education update.
Hello. Happy Friday, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm sorry to say, Kelvin, that the battery in the hat is no longer working, and as much as I would love to blame my 4-year-old, I can't. So there it is.
Not enough hats.
Not enough hats. Well, not this time, but stick around for next time, and you'll never know. You never know what's going to happen. All right, let's dive in. Can everybody see my screen? I'll take that as a yes. All right, awesome. Just a quick update to start. The 100 series right now is now available for self-serve only, and we have some things cooking that we will be announcing here soon. But for now, the 100 series will be self-serve and the 200 series will be live. So keep that in mind. You can check out the CLUCK landing page for that. Let's jump into the game tip of the week, which is basically, if you haven't watched the Nintendo Direct this week, do so, because there were some amazing remasters, remakes, and ports announced, like Suikoden 1 and 2, Legend of Heroes Trials in the Sky, Yakuza Kiwami, the Castlevania DS games. I did not see that coming. Tales of Graces F, and a whole bunch others. But I'm curious, for those of you who are interested and or invested in Nintendo, what did you guys think? And what were some of your favorite announcements? I'll be reading in the chat and seeing that you all agree with me, because of course the ones I called out are the best. All right. Shout outs to Dominic, Mike, Dave, Laura, Nick, Brad, Jonathan, Skylar, Chad, Josh, and Jonathan R. for passing the certification exam, and Patrick and Hamza for perfect scores. So congrats, everyone. You will be collecting that prestigious certified Rooster badge in Discord and getting access to our not so secret Discord channel known as Redacted, because it's secret. All right, don't forget to sign up for our office hours and Roc AMA. Office hours are for those of you who are going through the trainings. If you need any help or have any questions, we know we've had some questions, for example, come up around Jinja. Please feel free to keep an eye out on that. Office hours are available with Eddie, so you'll get some good Eddie time. If you want to hear some Eddie stories, you can ask him for that too. And the Roc AMA is also available for those of you who are certified, you are building, and you have more complex questions about the implementation that you're working with. So feel free to check those out. Otherwise, we're light on updates today. We have the open mic up for next week, and again, we have a lot of stuff cooking. More to come in September. We will be letting you know what we are coming up with here shortly. But that is it from me, so I'll throw it back over to you, Ash, and you can send it over to the team.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, so we are going to do a few more education updates. We're going to start with Eddie, who's going to give us a bit of an EdTalk, according to him, and we are then going to jump over to Tricia, which we can connect with her after.
Guys, welcome everyone to the open mic. Let me go ahead and dive in. I'll start sharing my screen. Not this screen. I was watching somebody about retro gaming. What retro is always going to be different depending on who you talk to. Is it the Atari? Is it the NES? Is it the PlayStation 1? It's kind of like what classic rock is today. Technically, it could be the 80s. Who knows? Just depends on your perspective. So let's dive in. Brandon mentioned that we are cooking up a whole bunch of different things on the education team. And one of the things that we're cooking up is related to app platform. And so for today, we have been working on a training and trainings for app platform. And so when app platform is released, we're going to have that coordinated effort to talk about how to use app platform. So to sort of set the stage here of what that course is going to be, as with many of the ed talks, walking with me and whatever, I'm going to find ways to interweave this kind of general musings of my life into whatever topic it's going to be. And in this case, app platform. So I wanted to set the stage by talking about somebody who is very dear to me. This person is the music of my ears. She is the song of my life. She is my melody, and she's my daughter. And so I wanted to talk about some of the sort of things that kind of happened before she was born and today. For most people who are parents, especially first-time parents, it really feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. There are so many things to consider for first-time anything, and first-time parenthood is no exception. There's a lot of things that are involved, and most of them revolve around trying to keep your baby alive, right? And so we create these giant baby registries, getting all of these different things in hopes that we can be the best parents that we can. We think about, how do we want to feed our baby? What should we get our baby? What are these tools that we should get? Should we get a sound machine that's hooked up to Wi-Fi that's scheduled? Should we get a bottle sanitizer? Should we get outlet covers? There's just so much involved when thinking about just caring for your kid. And these are all just the physical needs, right? Just the, what do we need to sustain our kid? And when we think about that weight that comes with raising kids, it's really, really heavy, because not only does it feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders, the fact of the matter is, it really is. It may not be the entire weight of the world, but the world of that child sits upon your shoulders, right? The way they see the world, the way they see themselves, the way that we talk to them is shaping the way that they're going to develop. It's shaping who they're going to be. And that's very heavy to think about, that somebody's complete worldview depends on you as a parent. That's intense, at least for me, right? When I was wrestling with all of this, I did what I naturally would do, and to start thinking about, how was I raised as a child? And I thought about all of the things my parents did and they didn't do. And I think I can speak for a lot of us that there's a lot of things that we can say, yes, my parents did this well. And there's a lot of things that we can probably think about and say, I wish my parents did or didn't do these things. And if this was a YouTube video, this is a great plug for our sponsors, right? Better Health or whoever. But what I did was I started thinking about that, and that idea that either you can continue on passing on the things that traumatized you, or you can be the person that breaks it. And so I spent a lot of time listening to podcasts and reading a whole bunch of books. And these are the 3 books that I really focused in on when it came to thinking about how to raise my kid after all of the baby stroller and outlet covers and things like that. And I planned and I planned and I thought, and I formulated all of these things that I want to do. And when it came time that she was born, we were raising her, it very quickly came, I very quickly realized that there's really no plan that you can create that's going to be foolproof when your kid is here, right? One of the quotes here, and one of the quotes that we might hear from places like the US Navy SEALs is, no plan survives first contact. Or in the words of one of the great 21st century philosophers, Michael G. Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And this was no exception for me as well. When it came to our plan, we ran into something that was never planned. We never read about it. We never really heard about it. And it was something that we really never thought about. We take our daughter to one of her checkups, and the doctor is explaining to us that she is diagnosed with moderate to severe plagiocephaly. And I sit at the doctor's office and I think, what the heck is that, right? These are some scary words: diagnose, moderate to severe. And so I ask, what does that even mean? And very simply put, she just has a flat head, right? Kind of curves and then straight line, just flat head syndrome. And that was kind of really weird to hear. Like, how did she get a flat head? How did that happen? And as we thought about it and as we talked with the doctor, it kind of felt weird because it almost felt like we were kind of set up for failure. For most first-time parents, one of the things that many of us learned from the get-go is that the safest position for a baby when they're sleeping is on their backs, right? There's all of these studies espousing that, yes, you should put your baby on their back when they're sleeping. It's the safest position for them. But one of the weird things about just babies in general is that their heads and their bones are still very malleable. And so you can imagine just keeping a child on their back with the back of their head against the bed or whatever. And if we just leave it there for a really, really long time with this malleable skull, then over time, it's bound to get flat. And again, for a lot of parents, most parents don't think about this, right? We are told, put your kid on their back. And again, with that pressure of, hey, I'm a first-time parent, I am responsible for literally shaping the world of this child, and I can't even shape their head. Like, I already screwed up, and we're not even a year in. And that, for a lot of parents, is really devastating, right? Just poking through Reddit, a lot of moms, a lot of parents feel extremely guilty for causing this condition. Doctors will say it's just cosmetic. Sometimes it shapes itself out. Sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, it's not exactly a big deal. It doesn't impede any of their development. But yet, many parents still feel extremely guilty that their kids have a flat head, right? It's annoying. It feels ridiculous to try to resolve this. And the way that you do resolve this is with a helmet. You just shove this helmet on a baby for 23 hours. They get 1 hour break, and you kind of just hope for the best. And Melody was like that too. She had a really flat head, and we put her in a helmet. Now, my wife, being the creative one, she was able to create these decals for her helmet. She just slapped it onto the helmet. She hand tied some bows and then just slapped it on the helmet. And she went to Etsy and tried to see what was on Etsy, what was there to make these helmets more aesthetic. She saw some bows and she thought to herself, maybe I could do this, right? Maybe I could sell some bows. And my wife's not technical. She doesn't have any sort of IT background whatsoever. And so she didn't know how to make a website. She's not a graphic designer. She doesn't have a lot of these technical skills. And so she just kind of perused around, and we found Etsy and thought, hey, let's just start up our own shop, our own Etsy shop, click, give it a name, configure some settings, and that's it. And just like that, we had a storefront, an e-commerce website with just a couple clicks of a button. We needed to create a logo. And again, my wife isn't a graphic designer. And so we found Canva and used some templates, a little bit of finagling within Canva. And again, in the span of a few hours, we ended up with a logo. Over time, the business began to grow, and we had to think about taxes. We had to think about P&E. We had to think about how do we pay our taxes now that we are running this business off of Etsy. And so we looked around and we found QuickBooks. And again, these 3 tools enabled us to start a business that we still run today. And we were not professionals in any of these spheres, right? We weren't web devs or front-end developers or back-end developers. We're not graphic designers. We're not accountants. These are things that are outside of our expertise, but yet we were able to launch an Etsy site and have an e-commerce storefront handled all behind the scenes. Everything that you see here built on Etsy, all of the thumbnails built on Canva. When it's time to pay taxes, right? QuickBooks just tells me how much to pay. And what I found so fascinating about this whole experience was that in this world that we live in today, there are so many things that we can do where we don't need to be experts, right? I didn't need to be a web developer. My wife didn't need to be a graphic designer. We don't have to be accountants to do the things that these experts are able to do. We don't have to spend 4 years to get a degree. We don't need so much uplifting or so much investment in order to produce the outcomes that we are seeing here, right? In the past, it took a lot to get a website. In the past, it took a lot to manage a business's their books, right? It took a lot. And yet where we are today, there's so many tools, so many platforms, so many apps that allows us to get the outcomes that we desire so quickly, right? A couple clicks, typing in some information, no need for coding, no need for much of any technical expertise. We can get the outcomes that we really are looking for without all of the technical stuff that we really needed in the past. And all of that just to bring us to App Platform. For this training that we are working on, we want to bring that to the forefront, right? A lot of things that MSPs are doing took a lot of time, took a lot of technical expertise, took a lot of experience to get to the end result, to get to the outcome. And what we're hoping with App Platform is that just like platforms like Etsy or Canva or QuickBooks or anything in between, like we can get people to those outcomes very quickly without all of that knowledge. You don't have to spend 4 years learning about how backends work or how servers work or how graph or anything in between works, right? We can give them those same type of tools to get the outcomes that they are looking for. And so with all of that being said, again, life gives us a lot of different obstacles. It gives us a lot of different challenges along the way. And I think we can all agree, whether we're a parent or not, that we are given so many different tools just to make our lives easier. And App Platform is the same, right? Another tool to help the MSP space reach their outcomes quicker and much easier. And so with all of that, thanks for coming to my EdTalk. I hope you guys had a relaxing time, and we'll kick it back over to you, Ash.
Thank you so much, Eddie. That was awesome. All right, let's jump over to Tricia.
I don't know what bad karma I put out there to have to follow Eddie, but that seems unfair. I guess I'll take one for the team.
You're fantastic. You're a perfect person to follow, Eddie.
We have a workflow that we built to help us as we get new Rewst employees and we're scaling and hiring so many new people to join our team. We wanted to figure out a more consistent way to introduce them to our now global company. So that's the wrong screen every time. I worked with Tim, so Tim definitely hop in when I forget all the important critical technical things. But essentially, we came up with a form that would allow new hires to introduce themselves, tell us their role, what hobbies they like, share their LinkedIn URL, and then join Slack channels that we have some internal fun Slack channels like dad and mom jokes, or if you like pets. And then once they fill this out, they'll automatically be messaged. They'll message in general. So it'll be the introduction message, and then it'll also add them to the Slack groups that they're interested in. So this is the workflow, and yeah, I live in the light, so sorry about light mode if everyone's blinded. But it's a really simple workflow. So especially if you have new builders on your team and you just wanted something small for them to get their hands messy, I would say this kind of concept is a really easy one to implement. They fill out the form, and then we wanted to look up who they are. We need to know who their user is in Slack. And then it was easy enough to just pull in the text. So use a few variables to pull in their name and their role right directly from the form. And then if they have a LinkedIn URL that they wanted to share, that will be added. But if they don't have one and that field's blank, then it'll be blank in the message that gets posted. We also have a hen house. So if you're a female Rewst employee, we have a special female channel. And so that one of the questions you might have seen on the form was based on gender. So if they select female, they will be asked to be added. So this is a locked channel. So there is an extra step, and I'll show you what that ask looks like. And then we have joined all of the channels based on the interest form. So as they select from that dropdown, it'll automatically add them to the channel. And rather than displaying all of our Slack, I just took a couple of screen captures. So this was posted in general, and it allows everyone to see and comment and celebrate our new hires, and then connect with them directly on LinkedIn to make sure that we keep facilitating a community as we grow. And then you'll see this is what it looks like. So Sam was added to the dad and mom jokes. So sorry, I outed you, Sam. If anyone has a good dad joke, send it to Sam. And then Donna shows the example of the hen house. It asks us to add them. And then as they get added, we can celebrate it. So really simple. And Tim, did I leave out anything important?
Wow, it seems like you covered pretty much everything. But if anybody has questions about this, let us know.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's it.
Well, that's great. Congrats, Tricia, on that. Love it. We're jumping over to demos now. So let's go. Let's see. Nick, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
So
You're first.
Cool. What I wanted to show everybody is I kind of got tired of manually checking the Microsoft security vulnerability updates, as well as CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities as well. It's a lot to parse through, and Rewst actually kind of worked well for that. So I'm going to pull this workflow, and I got my hand slapped enough. I started doing almost everything in self workflows. I had some weird issues before, so this helps resolve them, make sure I don't overrun context. And if we look here, what we have first is getting the latest Microsoft CVRF from their API for their security updates. From there, we want to make sure that we get the most recent one. The first one we do is get this month's value as well as the current year. We check to see if one is present for the month dash or year dash month name. If that doesn't exist, we want to get last month's update because we know one hasn't been published yet. From there, shortly after that, we go ahead and parse out the current update like we would. Grab the release notes in HTML so I can put it in a pretty app platform table. I'm not going to be showing that off because it's not ready yet. From there, we get the Windows product IDs as well as the critical vulnerabilities that we define. So this can be, I did 6.0 for this particular demo, usually leave it at, I think, 7.8. From there, afterwards, we parse through everything and do deduplication to make sure that we get only unique CVE values, just because the for loop was a little broken there. And then, hold on, I'm going to make this top bar disappear. Bye-bye. And then from there, we go into CISA's known exploited vulnerability. Same thing, we want to get our time values correctly and make sure that we can get things within the last 30 days. From there, we send a request out to CISA's known exploited vulnerability feed, and then we parse it down to check for our 30 days. Afterwards, from there, we come back to this overview of the workflow, and at the very bottom, we match the CVE IDs from both platforms and get our information. The next step for this is actually going to be making sure that we can grab those KB article IDs and implement them into our scripts for automated patching for whenever like Datto or Synchro or any other RMM tool fails in that process. So that way I don't have to go through and be like, oh my gosh, there's a 9.8 vulnerability. I have to deal with this at 7 in the morning because someone got hacked from it. So that's all I got to show for this particular workflow. But much like my last demo, I do try and focus on what security implementations I can make easier using the platform, since we have so many cool tools. Anyone have any questions about it?
Thank you so much, Nick.
Cool. You're welcome.
Okay, so I think we're gonna have time for both of you. So let's go to Brian first. I think you had something and then you were converting it over too. So if you could show us what you're up to.
I kind of got nerded out by this whole timestamp thing in Discord. I love it because it really gets handy, because if we've seen what Ash did earlier today, she posted the timestamp and it is readable in my time zone. It's something that Discord's got built in, is a nice little bit of code where you can paste it in and it just does a Unix timestamp and will display in the local user's time zone. So there's no confusion as to, well, when you say 3 o'clock, do you mean your 3 o'clock or my 3 o'clock? And so I love it. And it's got some great little formatting to it. So what I did is I created this nice little, just real easy form that is a date time converter. Initially, because I always feel dumb in app platform, I was like, I'll just make it a form and make the form output itself. So it actually looked just like this. The form would run and it had a markdown box and it would pull the label out of the option generator return and then give you all the stylization. And then I was like, no, I'm not dumb. I can do app platform. I know I can. So I built it in app platform. Not overly complicated. Here's the workflow that's behind it. It's literally just one single, I'm going to say it both ways, nope or new up, because everybody gets mad if you do it the other way. So that it's one workflow that's actually doing both things. It's just taking the timestamp and putting it into that label so you can see it. This is the code behind it. You're just converting your time into seconds to convert it back to Unix. And then a different option is actually outputting it in all of the different formatting ways. Excuse me, that Discord can actually do for the way that the different timestamps read out. So the way it looks in app platform is pretty simple here. I just used the form input and then a data table below. I've actually got the data table. It's kind of hard to see when you're sharing, but each of these are clickable on here and reads it off. And if I go messing around with the time, it'll rerun the workflow and then I can refresh the table. And now I can hop back over to Discord and go, hi, it's... And now, oh no, it didn't like the R. All right, I broke the formatting, but I need to go back and look at how it outputs the code, but I know some of them work. It might not actually work with relative. Yeah, see, there, the date one works. Oh yeah, capital R. I messed up my Jinja, but nice, easy, simple one. Real easy. I can kind of keep up on the side. That way if I'm talking to somebody and I know for sure they are multiple time zones or more away, and real easy to get it taken care of.
That's awesome. Can you send that to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always forget what it is. John actually had to look it up for me today. All right, thank you. So now, last one, Alden, we've got you for the next like 5 to 10, and then we've got some Q&A time.
I will go quickly here. Give me 1 second.
No, you don't have to be quick. It's the last
well-
one, just saying. We're at 3:44.
So I've also been playing with App Platform here, and let me just figure out where all these workflows are. So we were talking about robbing and duplicating earlier. I went ahead and did that with the form that Roc had made to document the Microsoft licensing in your documentation platform choice. It was nice, but it wasn't quite getting what we wanted to kind of fill in the blanks for some other tools that we're getting rid of. So just finding all these here. We've got a whole bunch of automations that are essentially just unsynced and then slightly changed for the formatting for the tables, things like that. So, and there we go. All right. So if you've used the workflows for documenting Microsoft, this looks familiar. Kind of walks through each of your clients, does a quick audit of a whole bunch of things. We added impact state licenses for us. And then it loops through and makes an HTML report, which is really awesome. And it's something that everybody should be doing. It's, very useful to have a nice HTML boilerplate and then fill it in with loops if needed. So we did this, and then I went ahead and made it into an app to make it easier for my company to get. So, and I know this isn't the right way to do it, but it's kind of just learning the ropes my way, not knowing Java and not having time to learn JavaScript quick enough to take care of things fast enough. So if I go ahead and run this on one of my clients here, at Qatar, it will then in real time build out this nice license summary that then our billing department is able to use and filter through for kind of different reports for different people. And so kind of on the fly, we just generated this report, and we can then instantly use it for a deliverable to managers to figure out where licenses may be overassigned and underassigned. And so we're kind of splitting it all out like it was in the Rewst crate, but just expanded and made to fit what we needed, as opposed to fitting what we needed to what was available from the tool. And this has brought a huge value to us over the past 2 weeks. The last round of billing has just been night and day. And this is one of those quick little automations that you can tinker with forever, but it's just such a change being able to have your own reports versus having to work off of someone else's reports and maybe not really liking what they're giving you. Or maybe them not updating for 3 months and not telling you. All the fun that you have with systems that are a little too closed. And that's kind of what I've got here. And stepping back to the app platform side, I mean, there's a lot of things in here, and I don't know how to do a look at them, but I do know how to use an HTML container. And so just in here, we're running some Jinja to check and make sure that I'm not missing an error. And then we're just dumping boilerplate Bootstrap 4. And then at the end of the day, if the error isn't happening, it replaces everything in the body and just puts the nice report there. That's what I have to show. And I'd like this to probably be maybe a template that gets pulled into the app platform when app platform is ready to go. Because this could be a really great kind of learning point of how to integrate all the different systems together and make a picture out of them.
That is amazing, Alden.
Hey, Alden, for people who are not familiar, can you go over a little bit more how it looks so good?
Sure. So, I mean, it's twofold. So we've got the actual to generate the HTML that's at the very end of this sub workflow, where it gathers a whole bunch of variables. And I wish I could show you, but I don't have any for that for Akatar. They required some manual intervention. But we're getting bootstrap.js or bootstrap. I don't think it's actually a JS, but we're getting the bootstrap framework and then utilizing that, which is a very easy web framework that kind of just makes everything really pretty and is very extensible, very themable, etc. And then kind of just making some, I mean, this was all built out by the Roc, but making some minor changes and kind of organizing things how we need them organized for backstate license conversions and such. And then it's also just become a little playground toy, like learning how to search in a table for a specific value, that sort of thing. Today's been filled with tables, though. We don't need to go on about those. But we're just kind of using this as a playground to understand like what things that we might be able to get out of that platform, especially for making a custom customer portal. One that's not quite so cloudly or a different vendor that again kind of forces you into being a specific way versus letting you really make your own platform.
Alden, you see the vision.
I do, and I see there's so much more to do. I mean, I'm missing a button here that says send me a PDF. I'm missing
But you see the vision that, like, this was the struggle we had internally. Like, initially, I'm like, we need to build a portal. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like trying to start Rewst saying we need a list of automations. And come at the end of the day, we didn't need a list of automations. We needed a platform to allow people to build whatever automations they wanted. And same with portal. We didn't need a portal. We needed a system to allow people to build whatever sort of interface they wanted in front of their automations.
And that was the big thing that scared me with that platform getting into it, was that I don't know any JavaScript at all. I'm changing that this weekend, but until then, I went in and tried to use any of the containers, tables, and such, and they just didn't make sense to me, and I did feel kind of off-put, which I think it took someone showing that they did everything in HTML for it to click and say, oh, this is like how we're presenting the reports through the webhooks to get reports that are in a template, except this is SSO'd. So we can we can more freely expose information since this has single sign-on blocking it.
And I see Kelvin posting about app platform. It also didn't hurt that Kelvin yelled at us. And then we changed.
I didn't yell at you. I remember that I hurt your feelings. I remember that a day later we had a bit of a conversation about hurt feelings. The very first version of App Platform, I had a meeting with Nick and Aaron, and I just said like, you should not release this. This is terrible. And I'm happy I did that because this is so much better. I love App Platform and what it is today. It's so amazing.
But I think what we'll do, and I wonder if marketing's on here. I wonder if who can I stress out? Maybe I'll stress out marketing. Maybe I'll stress out, why isn't my camera working? But maybe we do some sort of portal contest where everyone runs off and tries to build the best customer-facing portal in App Platform. And then we'll have like prizes for first, second, and third, and then you folks get to vote on who the winner is.
That would be fun.
It would be. Yeah. So whoever the 3 winners need to agree to allow others to use it. I agree with Jason there.
Make that happen. Community event.
So
2025.
I forget who had asked me, but whoever had asked me earlier, Nick, I have posted my app platform workflows and the export codes in Discord. So if you've got access to app platform in the channel, you can definitely poke through there. I believe it's in the pinned messages that I have kind of a tutorial for doing some of the introductory stuff and learning the ropes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, we've got 5 minutes left. Tim is here and ready to take some questions. If anybody has anything that they want to raise their hand, speak up, ask in chat.
Yep, just a couple minutes left, so quick questions, short questions. Has anyone showed anything today that you want to dig a little bit more into? Any ideas come up? Alden's demo was excellent. All the demos were excellent.
When are you going to open up app platform requests again?
That is actually a good question. What is, Aaron, now you can really make somebody mad. What is our timeline looking like for app platform?
Watch what you say, Aaron.
I'll let Daniel with an A answer that. Daniel with an A.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I mean, to be completely transparent, we are working hard on operationalization, is that a word? Of app platform. So getting all of our internal teams aligned. Yeah, it's right behind time savings and folders. So no, I'm just kidding. So we're working on that, and we have in 2 weeks' time we're going to revisit when I guess more app platform users are going to be let in. So we're kind of taking things on a case-by-case basis right now. But yeah, 2 weeks from now we're going to be revisiting, and I'll have more information for you.
Jack has an important question in the chat, Daniel.
Uh-oh.
Right what Slagle said.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah.
No.
So Jack, the folders and time savings. Yeah, it's going to be hopefully before both of those.
But which one's first, folders or time savings?
Oh, well, I mean, it's kind of like dividing by 0. It's not exist. Yeah.
Q5.
Hopefully that answered the question. Yeah, 2 weeks we're gonna have bigger updates. I don't have a specific timeline right now, but hoping for 2 weeks.
We want app platform out too. It's not as much a technical challenge as it is a documentation and training challenge. If we don't have all the docs out and we don't have sufficient CLUCK stuff, the support load on us is very, very big answering questions. Hey, did I hear? I had to step away for a second. Did I hear that Nick leaked dashboard a little?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
He's learning.
Sneak peek.
The issue is, Aaron, that if he keeps leaking stuff, then you won't have anything to do at Rewst anymore.
Yeah, what will be my job?
Exactly.
Leaks everything.
It was by accident, though.
Yeah, sure.
It's a long weekend, and my kids go back to school on Tuesday. Does anybody else have people going back to school on Tuesday?
Yep.
Or do you all have people already in school?
My kids went back
My
to school
son starts
the other
school,
day.
kindergarten, Tuesday.
Oh,
Congratulations.
you'll have to share pictures.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked. We're gonna drop him off at daycare like normal because he's in the afternoon, and then they're gonna bus him to daycare, bus him to kindergarten. But we're gonna be there when he gets off the bus at kindergarten. So that'll be pretty cool. He got to meet his teacher yesterday. And he was pretty stoked about that.
That's awesome. My kids are going into grade 9 and 12, so they're capstoning high school this year. It's or bookending, I guess. The right word there.
Hey, everybody. We're getting to the top of the hour. I want to respect folks' time. I do want to say thank you to everyone who demoed. It can be stressful in front of 100+ people to demo. So thank you for taking your time and to do that. Thank you, Ash, for getting this set up for us today. And thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you again next Friday. See you, Kelvin.
Later.
Bye, everyone.
Toodles.
Hi, everyone.